If I had a crystal ball and I could look into this crystal ball and tell you guys exactly where your business opportunities lie looking forward, what is working in the future, what is not working in the future, things that we should totally eliminate, things that we should totally start doing in order to see your business grow and flourish. Imagine how amazing that would be. Guys, I don't have a crystal ball, but I do have the next best thing. We've recently just launched our opportunity analysis, and the entire premise of this exercise is to help you guys understand where the holes in your bucket currently lie. Why is that important? Because we don't want to start filling a bucket that's leaking. Guys, for a limited time only, I'm going to be offering this as a free giveaway. It's $350, but for you site shedders, you're going to get it for free. You need to head across to tradie.wiki/grow and enter the code SiteShed to get it for nothing. Off the back of it, book a time to have a chat and we'll see where it takes us. We're looking forward to helping you and seeing where your opportunities lie. Today's podcast has been proudly brought to you by Tradie Web Guys. Tradie Web Guys work with tradespeople only on their websites and marketing solutions to help them stand out from their competition. Everything from web design through to SEO, search engine marketing, content creation, you name it, guys. It is a customized solution for trade-based organizations and it's fantastic. Head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/apply, fill in the form and let's have a conversation.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Craig, welcome to the Site Shed podcast.
Good to be here, Matt.
Mate, it's been a long time coming, but we're here. We've done it.
It's better late than never, I say.
Mate, thanks for joining us. So for the listeners out there, Craig is actually my Profit First coach. And for you guys that are not familiar with Profit First, it's a book written by Michael Witz. Is that how you say it?
Mike Michalowicz.
Mike Michalowicz. I always get it wrong.
You're not the first person to get that one wrong.
Yeah. There's a lot of W's and things and Z's that go into that name, which I can't figure out. But anyway, amazing book. It really changed my business in truth. I read that book probably two and a half years ago or something. And essentially it's a finance management system for your business. I fell in love with it straight away. And instead of trying to figure it out myself, I reached out to a consultant and Craig is a consultant. So yeah, Craig, we've been rolling this out in my business for the last, 2 years or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. You lose track of time. Time flies when you're having fun. But I think it's been around about 2 years that we've been implementing things, the system and tweaking and modifying and the like. And always an interesting journey where everybody, the great thing about Profit First is it's a great framework, but obviously within the framework, every individual business owner, has their own goals that, we can leverage, tweak, modify to set things up for how people want to do it. And that's the great thing. We're always tweaking and modifying, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I suppose in essence, what led me down this path for you listeners and viewers out there was, and whether you've come to this point in your business yet or you haven't, I can pretty much guarantee at some point you're going to. So my advice for you is to get this stuff set up sooner than later and certainly investigate, what we're talking about here, because I can 100% guarantee you at some stage in your business, you're going to run into a bottleneck where you're going to realize, I don't know shit about the money side of my business, and what I think I know, I don't know. And there's surely a better way. And this book certainly was it for me. And I, as I say, I read this book with open eyes, and then went and found someone that could help me implement. And I think that's the real key there. I probably could have figured this out myself, but it would have taken 15 times longer, and no doubt would have screwed things up along the way. And I probably wouldn't, and then I wouldn't have had Craig in my corner. So, guys, I preach this all the time. Get out there and find people that can help you get the result you want, and get in their space and get them to help you. So the business sort of before and after snapshot of before Profit First and after Profit First for me was, although the business was profitable, I didn't really know with clarity, first of all, where a lot of the expenses were coming from, even though it was mapped out in my cloud bookkeeping, it still didn't really give me a full transparent understanding of that. And secondly, and most importantly, I didn't have any way of allocating funds to different departments so that I always have money for different things like staff bills that are coming up, just different expenses and that kind of thing. So, and then the other one is the ability to forecast and the ability to measure and gauge trends within the business and sort of get a bit of a prediction as to where your business is heading and at what point it is likely to get there. So I think all in all, it's really brought a level of transparency into the financial side of the business, which I did not have previously. And I really, really encourage you guys out there to go grab this one by the horns and learn what we're talking about, because it's been a game changer for me, and I know it's been a game changer for a lot of people all over the world. Hence why his book's doing so well.
Hey, true.
But we're not really here specifically to talk about Profit First today, Craig. We've actually did do a podcast on Profit First, and I'm filtering through hundreds and hundreds of podcasts here trying to find it, but I don't know. Can't remember which one it was, but I did do an episode on Profit First. I'll post some links to it in the show notes for you listeners and viewers out there. You can go check that out. Today, we are going to be talking about, well, this is the first conversation out of 3 that we're going to be having. In this one, we're talking about money mindset, and we're going to be talking about different types of money archetypes. Now, a lot of you guys are familiar with personality profiling and personality archetypes, and this is let's say it's a topic that's kind of similar, but at the same time, very different. So this will be really good for you guys to understand your position and what sort of archetype you are. And especially if you're in a business, I would imagine, Craig, that has multiple parties. You know, if you've got a business partner, for example, like that's very important that you understand these things. And that could be the defining differentiator in the organizational chart in relation to who does what and why, you know. The second conversation we're going to be talking about is profit first optimization, and we're going to be talking a lot about like that cash flow forecasting side of the profit first framework. And then the third episode, we're going to be talking about how to forecast your team and how to create a people plan within your business. And Craig and I had a good conversation about this offline before we started recording, which we'll go back and recap on. But this is a point that I'm at now in the business, especially where we've got so many new team members joining all the time. We've hired 4 new full-time employees in the space of a month. Like, things are going crazy, and we've got to make sure that we're predicting this and we're allowing for it. And so we're going to talk about how you can do that effectively and not sort of do it like we always have done it, where we have a recruitment process which involves, if they can fog a mirror, we'll hire them, and we shoot from the hip, left, right, and center. So this is very much a process-driven series, and Craig is the man to come to the party on this one. So, Craig, give us a little bit of a background as to you, your business, what you've been building lately, what you're about to release, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Matt. That's a great summary, and yeah, really excited to talk through these couple of different episodes, which is very much, you know, leveraging some tools and ideas and mindsets to ultimately be able to help people grow their business and ultimately be able to use the business as a vehicle for them to be able to achieve whatever they want to achieve in life, which is, you know, basically what we're all about. Our business is take a step back. Basically, my background is accounting space, the world. I worked in large corporates, massive hundreds of millions of dollars worth of dollars flying around and doing the budgets and managing those. And, you know, realized I didn't want to be doing that in those larger businesses. I want to have more of an impact on people more directly with what they wanted to do with their lives. And so when I came out of that world, I started sort of a consulting business around efficiency and productivity. Learned a few lessons in the early days, and then leveraged back into my financial side, which was, you know, around the time that I came across Profit First and went, yeah, this really aligns with the mindset and the theory of how I talk about money and helping people understand money. And, you know, so that became the core focus of our business, is because, as you touched upon there earlier, a lot of businesses that don't truly understand the machinations of money and the mindset and the ideas behind it, because I've heard accountants talk about, it's taken them 13 years to truly understand what a cash flow forecast tool, how it actually really understands. And here we have business owners that are really great at, they're great electricians, great plumbers, and all those sorts of things, but they don't want to spend the time getting to know a profit and loss report, a balance sheet, and a cash flow forecast summary, and all these sorts of things, when all everyone knows is, do I have enough money to be able to do what I want to do, to achieve what I want to achieve? And it's how we've always talked about money, and it's like, cool, what do we want to achieve? Where do we want to go? Let's park all those numbers off the side. Let's just talk about a couple of key numbers we want to talk about, which, is where profit first resonated with me. And so that's at the core of what we do, is make businesses sustainable and able to do what they want to do financially. And as we speak now, my wife, who's a people person, HR background and the like, she's recently come into the business, and very much the two biggest challenges in business is that we've experienced ourselves, plus, from all the people we've worked with, is, it's either around the cash flow or it's around the people challenges. And so what we're all about is helping people build and implement people plans, profit plans, because, people get into business and they get told, have a business plan, have a marketing plan, which they're great. They're really good to have. And, you've got to have a direction around those, but they're very revenue centric. But, I can give countless examples of businesses that have made a lot of revenue, they still gone bust because they don't have the cash flow. They haven't been truly profitable. People haven't been truly productive and performing at what they need to do. So, our business where we are today is all about helping businesses and business owners make their business sustainable in the longer term through getting their people and their profits really, really in order.
I think so much of those things, Craig, in truth, I've learned this the hard way, but sometimes we try and run before we can walk with a lot of these things. But as the first step of the equation, having a real understanding of the financial side of the business, cash flow allocation, all this kind of stuff, that really empowers you to make educated decisions in the space of things like marketing plans or, recruitment or whatever it is. And I think very often we go the other way. We're like, well, I need to make more money, so I'm going to go hire someone. And we sort of go, we go at it backwards. And so I've definitely learned this the hard way over the years, but now, it's sort of come full circle, and it's made a huge difference, getting it right.
Yeah. You're spot on the mark, and all becomes from, at the end of the day, it's natural human behavior.
Right.
And that's coming back to, you're talking about human behaviors and the mindset, which is, profit is aligned into that. But human behavior is, okay, cool, I've got to go make lots of money. But then human behavior will have us spending all that money, because it's the same as if I go to a buffet and fill up my plate. It's like, I'll eat whatever's on that plate.
Right.
I'll have a couple more goes. But if I had a small plate, I'll only eat small amounts. And this is where we take a very mindful and behavioral approach to everything we do, because at the end of the day, that's all the stuff that's hardwired into us in certain ways. We've learned a lot of things when we're younger, and, it plays into, you touched on, again, the personality side of things, and, leading to understanding our money personality is, for me, definitely one of the really early steps, if that we can really just know ourselves and know what our thoughts and ideas about money are, and we can truly understand that, then we're in a great position to go, well, if these decisions I'm making in my business, is it because, hey, cool, I'm really comfortable with risk and the likes, and therefore I'm happy to go off with this. But if I'm aware of it, and it's like, oh, hang on a second, is that I'm just making that decision because I'm really excitable about the next bright, shiny object, and really comfortable with risk. And then you're starting to work through that to kind of go, okay, cool. Would I make different decisions if I actually knew and I truly understood what my thoughts and beliefs and ideas are around money? Because also at the end of the day, quite often how we do money is how we do life.
Right.
So that comes to the part of, I guess,
you should put that on a t-shirt.
That's probably not a bad idea. How you do money is how you do life. Damn.
I think, though, as well, Craig, that like speaking to that specific money mindset, mantra that you spoke to then, like that, if you've got the data in front of you, it helps you cut through a lot of that bullshit. Like, there's the uncertainty of, oh, maybe I'll just buy a new car because there's money in the bank. Whereas if you've got the data behind you and you can say, well, sure, there's money in the bank, but let's hang on, before we go spend it, like we need to make sure, blah, 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 all these things. And it kind of helps remove a lot of those temptations. And I find that's quite a powerful thing. And a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, 100%. That's where they are. They are interwoven and they work in together, because that's why understanding the money mindset and leveraging it works really well with something like Profit First, because then we can actually design things to make sure we put the parameters in place to be able to leverage the awesome parts of how our thinking is, but also we can cover off some of the risks. And 100% being able to have the two working together is the ideal situation, because if we're talking about, Profit First and multiple bank accounts, to be able to understand and see that data more clearly, then it's, well, what bank account would really serve you right now? And somebody like myself, who is a maverick type of personality, and it's one of my, and we've actually got similar money archetype sort of levels. We've got certain ways that we'll think about it. Well, okay, to be able to nurture that, hey, cool, I'm going to create a growth account. So it's like, okay, cool, let's make sure we've got some money going into a growth account so that there's a sustainable amount for me to go chase those growth opportunities that I'm looking at. Right. And therefore, I'm not over leveraging myself, because I'm going to make that sustainable. Yeah, no. So, and then the other side of that is, making sure we've got some safety behind that. So, putting in another account that is a vault account or a saving account or a whatever it is, that we're putting money incrementally aside for that, okay, we've got the safety that's there, and it's the tried and trusted and tested sort of money that chips away. Cool. That means that we can feel more comfortable that, okay, if that growth opportunity doesn't work, hey, cool, we're safe, we're fine, we're okay with that. And you alluded to the notion there of business partners and the like. It's that being able to make sure that whoever the ownership group is and whoever the beneficiary of a business doing well is, well, are we taking that into account, and are we satisfying those needs?
Well, I mean, and even on to put it into relatable terms, for a lot of the guys out there that are watching and listening to this, if you're in a situation where you're dealing with client payments, like scheduled payments, things like that, with customers who, maybe you're a builder and you've got like customer scheduled payments and these kind of things, like understanding what these archetypes are, and will help you communicate this in a fashion that relates to that person and makes them appreciate it. And this is what I'm talking about when I say it ties in very heavily to personality profiling. Like, this is a lesson that I learned 15 years ago from one of my back then colleagues and now really good friend, Peter Cox. He taught me all about personality profiling. And that really did, first of all, it helped me understand what my strengths and weaknesses were, which made me realize why people think that I'm such an asshole sometimes. But that's great, because then you can dial it in and you can use that to your advantage. And once you understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, then you can, the traits, then you can understand what other people's are. And literally within minutes, you can typically ascertain what type of personality people are once you're experienced with this sort of thing. And it can completely change the way you communicate with them, so that you're communicating with a way that they appreciate. There's so many examples of this, and this is not a new thing either. This is a methodology that dates back to ancient Greece, and it's been redressed 1,000 times in things like Personality Plus, in disc profiling, and a million other things. But essentially, this is a really old methodology, but it's as relevant as it's ever been.
Yeah, 100%. It's so relevant, and it's because it works at the end of the day. And what we do from the money side of things, the financial side, is exactly the same thing. And the best example I can give is my wife and I wrote a blog about this recently. Our example of understanding and learning our money archetypes. We're the type of couple that rarely fights and all the rest of it, but there's that. The only sort of tension and all that sort of stuff we used to have is when we started talking about money. I'd be off talking about this, my wife's talking about this, and we're having totally different conversations, and it becomes this passive aggressive awkwardness that is like, you just stop talking about it. And, then there's certain financial conversations that aren't had. And so that was actually my introduction to money archetypes as well, because I'm similar to yourself. I've done some of the personality ones, but we sat down and we did our money archetypes, and I'm over here being the maverick and alchemist and a ruler, and my wife is, contrasting that with her accumulator and nurturer and those sorts of things. And I'm, we're speaking different money languages totally. So,
but isn't it interesting of the irony of that? Actually, now that you understand it, probably you're perfectly matched for each other because you cover all angles.
Again, it's quite common. Obviously, what I've found in now profiling so many people is either people are the opposites, and they're not technically opposites on a spectrum, but that they are the contrasting notion, or they're very similar. It's quite interesting. And, we work with a number of, husband and wife businesses, the same as what me and my wife are now. And that's what we find. It's either the contrasting, similar to Lauren and myself, or it's the, hey, quite similar. But what that actually does, it does mean that, if I come up with, the business opportunity and the grand plan and the like, then if I need to be able to share that and sell that to Lauren, then it's, again, I use the example in the blog, on the personal side of things, we're selling an investment property. The whys and the wherefores, I thought it was the right thing to do, blah, blah, all the rest of it. But for me to be able to say, let's do this, I had to present this in her language. What do I need to cover off? Well, the accumulator and nurturer needs to have a safety net. So if we sell it, we're going to put this amount of money aside. We're going to have this. Here's the returns, and very much talking in Lauren's language rather than the way that I would normally talk about it or prefer to talk about it.
This is what you can spend on online shopping, honey. Is that basically?
Yeah, again, she can accumulate and nurture it, so she's not big on that sort of stuff. And so again, but 100%, if that was her personality, that is exactly what I would have done. I would have gone, well, there's the shopping fund over there, or all those sorts of things. But in my scenario, it was literally, here's the safety net. Here's the money we'll have in the bank to make sure, we can get the kids through school and blah, 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 and all those sorts of things, because that's the personality.
Sure.
So it's being able to talk that. And when you're talking in a business sense, you said it at the top of the call, it's that if you've got different personalities, well, if you're going to do a deal, well, what does it need to cover off? What does it need to achieve? If somebody needs that growth, or somebody needs the safety, somebody needs to be able to spend, somebody needs to be able to show it in an extravagant way, or whatever it is, there's just so much power in that.
I mean, how do you want to play this one? Do you want to talk about what the different money archetypes are and like how the mindset plays into each of them?
There's sort of 8 core archetypes. I can give you a very quick whip over of what those are, because as I mentioned them, there'll be people out there that go, oh, that's me. Yeah. That's me. That's me.
Well, how about first and foremost, where do you find information on these?
Basically, head to our website. There'll be links to all those in there. And
thehealthybusinesslab.com.
Yeah, thehealthybusinesslab.com is our website. And what I can probably even do is set up a separate page for you guys. We'll just go /SiteShed and create a page where any resources we talk about and, these money archetypes and the code, you'll be able to find those there if you like.
Sure, whatever. I mean, I think it's people can, just get a basic understanding of what the archetypes are, and then I'm all for just giving them a resource to go learn more about it if there's a book out there or whatever.
Yeah, perfect. So with the archetypes again, there's plenty of content that we've got available for that summary. And again, people can find out their own archetype code, so to speak, by there's an 8-minute quiz that people can do to.
Sure. Because I did that, right?
Yeah, you did that a while ago, and I sort of alluded to there before.
I should dig that up. I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, your archetype, again, is very similar to mine. We had a bit of a different mix in the order of what they are, but again, we had very similar personalities, which again, similarly with a bunch of my clients that we work with, so some of that.
Essentially, for you guys out there, it's it's like a quiz, which basically spits out, it's like a Venn diagram, right? At the end of it,
it's more of a list score of the 8 different archetypes, and you get a score for
score. That's right.
Them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of.
Well, run. Give us an overview as to what they are, because
for sure. So, I'll just run through them in alphabetical order, and and you can see if you can remember which ones sort of resonate with you. But again, what people will probably find is they'll go, "Oh, that sounds a bit like me. That sounds a bit like me," and it is because there will be different parts of different ones that may apply, and when people do the quiz and the assessment. We usually look at, obviously what the top couple are and what their mix is, because even though you and I have similar ones, we're not going to be 100% the same, because there is a different mix of how highly weighted one is versus the others. But we'll run through the first one I've already touched upon, the accumulator there. That's the one I touched upon with one of my wife's ones. It's kind of like the inner banker. They really about respect and appreciation. They have a really close-knit relationship with money, and they often live well under their means, and they're really attentive to managing their money, and they love to save it. But they can also be a bit driven by fear, and they can feel at risk of never having enough money, even though they do have plenty of resources. And so that can create the stress, the anxiety, and guilt around money as well. But
guilt in the space of not wanting to spend it, or
so when they do spend it, it's like
they regret
it's that buyer's remorse kind of feel. It's kind of like, even though, hey, cool, there's plenty of money there, and it's alluding to, from a business sense, that's that notion of maybe not taking up opportunities because it's like, last time I did that, it didn't quite work out. But if we have a nice bucket of money sitting there as a safety net for them, then they go, okay, that's there. So they feel a bit more comfortable, so we can try to remove that stress and guilt and anxiety around that. So that's kind of the accumulator. At the end of the day, they're very good. They take care of themselves. They can look after themselves, and they don't need other people's help around that. Mm-hmm. Another one is the alchemist. He's the idealist and all about positive change, and they can often have this sort of love-hate relationship with money. They create great ideas, and they're very ideas and transformative people, and that's what they're all about. They're usually quite altruistic in their nature, and looking at unconventional ideas and alternative ways of even making money and the like. And, you get a few people liking things like profit first, because, it's a bit of a different way of looking at things, different way, and it's something that's a bit out of the norm. I know that's something, so the alchemist is up on my list there. Sometimes you can be very annoyed that we actually have to deal with money. It's just like, why do I have to worry about money? I just want to be able to get out there and help people change the world kind of thing. And it's always the challenge is the love-hate relationship and letting that perpetuate kind of thing. And, at times, because there is this non-care for money in some ways, sometimes people that are this alchemist rely on others for money at times. It's borrow money from people here, there, and everywhere to be able to help things because of that, the way they think about it. A celebrity, it's probably no whole lot of guesswork needs to go into that one a little bit, but they sort of, they're the kind of like the inner big shot, and they illuminate impact and recognition. It's hey, let's have a look at me. They're very charismatic, and they can very much attract all those amazing people and experience into their world. But also, they're all usually really good at creating that attention for other people as well. They really appreciate that money can open doors. So, money can be a bit of a vehicle to be able to open up different doors. And they can be that sort of really leader personality out there on the front stage. And, so in saying that, they can always attract money into their life quite well, but equally, they can usually quite good at spending it. That's that sort of money in, money out personality. It's, happy to live with a generous lifestyle for themselves, but also for the other people as well, because they do think of other people quite a bit. But sometimes because, society can have certain thoughts about these type of people, sometimes they keep that under wraps a little bit, which can be a bit of a challenge. And again, another thing that sort of, to be conscious and mindful. And then there's the connector, which is kind of the relationship creator, and they sort of about faith and optimism have faith that money will always be there, and pretty comfortable that they can live a fairly stress-free life and thought process around money. They can also be quite innocent because of that carefree nature. Sometimes they can be taken advantage of when it comes to money, and that generosity part and the carefree things will happen, and I look after somebody else will look after me. So often some of these personalities, and this happens in business, quite a bit, they can often trust the handling of their financial matters to others. And, that trust in the right person is brilliant, but the trust in the wrong hands then opens up the potential. And I've heard countless stories of, I don't want to, money's okay and it can look after itself and somebody else will look after it, but then they do something, they take the money and run or whatever it is, and then the person gets left feeling, high and dry when it comes to money. And because they haven't taken a closer attention to it, it is one of the challenges of that connector type of personality, because they prefer not to think about money a whole lot. But on the positive side, it's that part of, create so many positive relationships and partnerships and opportunities that can come with that. So then it's finding that balance with being able to make sure that they are across the financials and making sure that the people they do trust and they work with, that you're putting boundaries around that. And that's that interesting idea of making sure that if you're aware that you're this type of person, then it's, hey, cool, what are the boundaries that I need to put in place? And what is the knowledge that I need to at least have a certain measure of understanding with?
It's interesting, isn't it? Like there's so many traits I can relate to in each profile.
It is. It's 100%. There'll be little things you'll probably go, there's different times in my life where I know I've been like that. And this is where under different circumstances, and that's why it's good to understand the wider mix of your profile and know which ones are there more prominently, but also it's good to be aware of the wider mix just to go, hey, cool, that's something I can be conscious of. And again, for me, this is all about empowering yourself to be able to go, hey, it's the awareness. As with anything, I can't do anything unless I've got a diagnosis and awareness. I can go to Google Doctor all I like, but I don't know truly what it is. How can I actually do anything about it and leverage it at the end of the day?
And I think as well, like it's important that people understand there's no right or wrong with this. It's like when we quiz people for, like, as part of our recruitment process, we make them do personality profiling, but there's no.
Yes.
I think people sometimes think they think they can game it, like they can game the quiz. When the reality is there's no right or wrong. Like the best answers are the honest ones, because then you can work with that and you can accustom things according to that personality or whatever, right? So
100%. Yeah. It is all about self-learning, self-understanding, because at the end of the day, that's all we've got. And yes, if people do try to game it, and they're trying to work with something that's not them. And so it won't feel right. It won't be true to them. And this is that part of going from the notion of money mindset to money mind growth. And it's this notion idea of, hey, cool, if I'm set in my ways, well, how can I leverage those opportunities? And 100% with all these, as you've heard me sort of explain some of them, there's opportunities that sit within all of them. There's also challenges that sit within all of them.
Sure.
And that's where it's, being able to understand and leverage and utilize those is brilliant. So I'll take over into the Maverick now. The Maverick one is, that's my most prominent archetype. And it's the kind of rebel with a cause. That risk is essential. It's this ability to be able to be very highly creative with money. And in some ways, it actually becomes a bit of a game. And so with a Maverick, it's if you're really able to find the game, the money game that person wants to be able to play, then, there's a whole lot of potential that sits within that. There's a natural ability to understand and feel comfortable with complex transactions, contracts, and all those sorts of things. But, a Maverick can often find themselves in precarious money situations that other people would shy away from just because of that comfort with risk. And so there can be those extreme financial highs and lows and the like. So can be sort of seen as a financial thrill seeker, so to speak.
So they basically have crypto accounts.
There could be quite a few people jumping into that, yes, without the safety net sitting below them, just going, let's go all in on that, 100%.
Dogecoin, can't go wrong.
Yeah, 100%. But in saying that, that's where a maverick can also be quite secretive about money. And you think about 100%, that kind of example is a maverick will be likely to tell you, hey, here's all the gains I've got.
Right.
But then when the things turn, you're not going to be hearing about any of that. It's the classic, guy going on a bet on the horses. You always hear about their winners, but you don't see that they've had to redraw money out of
double mortgage,
double loan account to be able to do that. And that is that very much that personality. And they love a bright shiny object a little bit more than most. We all don't mind them, but I say that easily because I am one of those people. But, I'm saying that, no, my wife doesn't like the bright, shiny object one little bit. So, yeah, that's the maverick. And, contrasting that is 100% the nurturer. He's all about, the inner sponsor. They illuminate caring, compassion. They're all often about service rather than money. They're very selfless people. They're always generous. They're always there to help out. And quite often it's always at the expense of their own time, their own energy, can be their own financial stability as well. And similar to when I was talking about the connector before, the boundaries idea, often a nurturer can have trouble creating those boundaries around all those things because all they want to do is help people. They're very people-related people.
Sure.
And with that, they're often very careful around money, very frugal, great at saving money, and those sorts of things. But sometimes they can also, turn themselves into a bank if, they've got resources, and they can often carry debt as a result of that because they're often helping other people out and the like. And then you got the romantic, they're sort of the inner hedonist. They enjoy the pleasures of life. They live in the moment. They spend money on life's enjoyments, touched upon it before, the food, the clothes, the toys, the experiences. And that gives them the gratification and the sensory pleasure. And money's not top of mind. It's very much something that comes in it's a bit of then it becomes a distraction because it's just live the high life, the fun life. The thought of not buying something or investing or doing something like that can, make the romantic feel a bit defiant. And sometimes they can then fall get in the trap of spending to avoid facing a financial truth because that makes them feel good, but then it causes the financial challenge that comes with that. It can be good savers, but it's usually only when there's something specific that they want to buy. So again, in setting frameworks to try to leverage that cool, if there's something cool, it can be really good and focused in on that. But then what's the other parameters to always make sure that we've got stuff to tick over and have that consistency of a separate account to be able to help do that. They often live above their means, which, leads to quite often a storytelling in their own head of, that I'm not good with money as well because I go out and spend it and all the rest of it. But it's not necessarily the case. It's more just that it's being pushed that way to be the excuse. It's like, and so, again, being mindful of that is very powerful to understand and see that. And the final one there is the ruler. They're kind of like the empire builder. They have this desire to achieve and often, got a fire and drive to create things, and they can, again, be very impactful with what they do. And, therefore, they're quite driven, and usually money can be a bit of a marker of success, around, a certain amount of, it becomes a measurement value. And they're always striving, challenging, pushing themselves. And again, another type that is often a leader, very ambitious, stubbornly determined. The interesting thing, though, is that drive and the ambition, it often causes them to feel dissatisfied with where they are. No matter what they've done, how good they've done, it's like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Which, touching on profit first, and this is one of the great things of, say, the profit account in Profit First. One of the key foundations that that's built upon is on a quarterly basis, being able to reflect, achieve, take a celebration to be able to reflect and go, hey, this is for all the hard work we've done. Here's a measurement of success. So for a ruler, making sure they're acknowledging, well, what actually happened to achieve that goal, that now we can go do something with it. And also, a ruler quite often reinvest that money in the business to drive and push more and all the rest of it. But, that's not nurturing, the ability to take that reflection time and be able to go, actually, I have achieved, I have done well, and have that little celebration. And so, they can often be hard on themselves. And, they can be a little bit conservative when it comes to spending money, which comes back to that reinvestment notion that I touched upon as well. Yeah, so there's a whirlwind version of the 8 archetypes.
Sure.
And I'm sure, as you've done as well, there's probably been a few different things that people have gone, oh, that sounds like me.
Well, I mean, just trying to think back to when I did it, or when you asked me to do it, I remember I was really stuck on a few of them. I'm like, I don't know which one's more correct, because you can't pick two.
Yeah. So, again, you're very similar to me. We've both got the same top 3 archetypes, but different mix of them. Yeah. So we've both got the maverick, the alchemist, and the ruler are in there. Right. But we've got a different varying level of what they are. And again, I don't have the finer detail of what the mix is down below, but even seeing as you were nodding along there as you were listening to some of those, I know the mix of what we'd have below would actually probably be reasonably different.
I'll have to find those results. I don't know what I did with them. I can't.
I'll flick them through to you. I've got them here.
Oh, you've got them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got them. I've got them here. And again, as you say, I think I'm always happy to have a 15-minute chat with anybody that does the quiz and understands, just to get their head around what it is, what the mix is, and some of the challenges that may face. Because it's amazing. Like, it's constantly when people do it, they go, yeah, that is me, and that is challenges I've had, and I remember things. And again, it is just all that awareness.
And this isn't like, I can imagine you guys are out there thinking, this just sounds like some horoscope horse shit. It's not horoscope. Well, it's actually, there is a lot of power in knowing these strengths and weaknesses. We'll be able to relate to a lot of them for sure. And same thing with personality profiling or whatever. Like, don't brush it off, because the sooner you come to learn what those strengths and weaknesses are, you can use them to your advantage, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah, as I said before, for me, and the biggest gains I've had in life and in business is as I've learned more about myself, and things like the personality testing, the money archetype testing, those sorts of things. There's a bunch of different ones out there. There's a few different ones that some are closer to the mark, some resonate more, but again, it's a lot of the inner work that we've done to be able to then go, cool, I understand that, because now I know why I'm making the decisions. And, I learned these archetypes 3, 4, 5 years ago and implemented a bunch of stuff in our personal life, but I didn't implement it in my business back then.
Right.
It wasn't until about 18 months ago that I revisited, because I was doing a lot of talking with clients. It was when COVID 1.0 hit, and I was talking a lot of mindset and behaviors with people, and there was a lot of struggle. I'm like, hang on a second, I know a bit about money archetypes and money mindset. And because I started talking more about it, I was like, gave myself the big forehead slap moment and went, why haven't I applied that in my business? So, I'll put my hand up, and I'm the same as many people. And then once I started to go, I think of some of the decisions I've made in the past and put it through. Yeah. Would I have done that if I had have made that more conscious? And it's like, I probably would have shortcutted a few things where I am now. I probably would have got there quicker with a few of the decisions that I've made in the past, because I didn't leverage in that. But again, as human beings, I satisfied one need at the time, which was our personal conversations around money, which, got my big tick there. But I didn't apply it to other aspects of my life and my business.
So can people do this quiz on your website?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, they can.
So thehealthybusinesslab.com is the website, and there'll be links to it in the show notes. So if you're driving, just head across to the siteshed.com after and find this podcast, and you will be able to see the links to those.
For sure.
To Craig's website and whatever. Is there anything you wanted to close off on before we wrap this episode up?
No, I don't think so. I think I've probably given more than enough for people to think about, and probably spun a few heads out there at the moment. But yeah, for me, as you said, it's very much getting to know yourself and understanding some of the core things that make you tick, especially when it comes to money and the decisions that people make in their lives and their business.
And for you guys out there that are watching and listening to this, I think it's really important that you understand, and you can take this from someone that has done it wrong. It's really important that you understand this mindset around money and the type of archetype you are, the type of like the education around, how to allocate funds into different things, which you learn in Profit First and all this kind of stuff. It's really important that you understand these things before you go down the path of trying to make lots of money, because typically speaking, making lots of money will only compound your failures. And you'll end up in a situation where you might be generating a lot of income or generating a lot of money, but you're not doing what you should be doing with it. So I really encourage you guys out there to, and sadly, these are the things they do not teach you at technical college. They do not teach you at university. For the better part, you have to go out and find this information for yourself. And we're bringing that to you now. And I'm saying to you, trust me, go and learn this shit before you start dialing in how to make more money, because you will just compound your failures.
True. And that's okay. That's why this is such a great platform, Matt, that you're giving people the tools to be able to do that, because 100% there's no point growing an unprofitable business at the end of the day.
So in the next episode, Craig, we're going to come back and talk a little about Profit First optimization, like how to forecast things like cash flow, how to allocate, all that kind of stuff. So for you listeners and viewers out there, stay tuned for that one, because that kind of speaks to the core of Profit First, if I'm right in saying that. And in truth, this has probably been one of the biggest shifts that I've had from a mindset perspective, which has had a huge ripple effect into the financial side of my businesses. So I really encourage you guys to go check that one out. If you want to get hold of Craig, he's in the Facebook group. You can ask questions in there. His website is thehealthybusinesslab.com. I'll put links to all of this within the show notes. And that quiz that we've spoken about with the money archetypes, that'll be on that website. So Craig, thanks for your time, mate. We'll come back in the following episode and we'll talk about Profit First optimization. Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to thesiteshed.com, where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.